Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So, I haven't talked about the Israel Hamas, conflict that's been going on very much. And it's mostly because my position is just simply, America first. America has so much problems that we need to take care of our own problems. And I'm sick of seeing hundreds of billions just being sent out for foreign wars and things. We shouldn't be sending this much money or any money to help Ukraine, given that they're not a NATO ally, and the United States taxpayer doesn't have any obligation to worry about that. It's different in Israel, um, but I also believe that Israel has way better capabilities to take care of themselves already in place, so it shouldn't be as expensive to the American taxpayer to help defend Israel. Right? As a Christian, I do pray for peace in Israel, as it says that I should in the Bible. I encourage my brothers and sisters in Christ to do the same. We have, a bit of good news, on this day after Thanksgiving, which I hope all of you guys had a good time with your families if it's a holiday you celebrate. We have this news here from the Wall Street Journal that Hamas releases first group of hostages under the Gaza ceasefire deal. And here's the latest updates. 25 hostages were held for almost 7 weeks and were let go as part of the deal that includes a temporary ceasefire. Here's the latest on the conflict. Hamas on Friday handed over 25 hostages taken from Israel. The first phase is an exchange negotiated as part of the deal that has paused fighting in the Gaza war. It's good to see that they've paused fighting. We all know it's a ancient war, and I'm sure they'll hit the unpause button soon enough, unfortunately. Let's look into this. So, hostages first. The hostages have left Gaza via the Rafah border crossing, Egyptian officials said. They are in the custody of the International Red Cross and Egyptian officials. Interesting. I wonder why they're in the custody of Egyptian officials instead of, sending them back to their home country. I guess that's me assuming that these folks aren't Egyptians. I don't know. It's just curious. The hostages have left Gaza via the Rafah border crossing. So surprise release. 12 Thai nationals were released by Hamas. In addition, that wasn't part of the border agreement, along with 13 Israelis, according to Egypt. So another curious thing, what are Thai nationals doing over there being held by Hamas? Were they abducted during the raid too, or what? I don't know. I guess I'll find out. Inside the secret negotiations, the agreement to release the hostages was sealed with help from President Biden and survived last-minute problems. Israel contacted the families of those to be released Friday and published guidelines explaining how hostage children should be handled by the Israeli soldiers who accompanied them from captivity. Okay, so then the Palestinian prisoners, the women and teenage boys who will be exchanged for Israeli hostages, will be taken to the West Bank and Jerusalem. As part of the deal, about 200 trucks are set to carry humanitarian supplies into the Gaza Strip on Friday. Tankers and trucks carrying diesel fuel and natural gas have entered the territory. That makes no sense to me. It seems like more of what we've seen forever is banks or whatever funding both sides of a war so that it can keep going. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and I support humanitarian aid for innocent civilians, but that's another thing that's curious. Moving on, operations room. Qatari officials set up an operations room in Doha to monitor the ceasefire and communicate with Israelis. Hamas and the International Committee of the Red Cross, a Qatari foreign ministry spokesperson said. So I don't know. Since everything seems so sketch already, I wonder what the real reason for them to want to set up a operations room, to monitor the ceasefire. Is that like the Patriot Act? I don't know. Israeli strikes. The Israel military keep the pressure on Hamas right up to the ceasefire deadline, blowing up tunnels while attacking the Gaza Strip from land, air, and sea. So it showed at the top there was a little video, but I didn't want to play it. So apparently Israel basically kept their foot on the gas until the literal timeline started for the ceasefire. And finally, hospitals. 10 ambulances operated by the Palestinian Red Crescent Society left the southern Gaza Strip to evacuate the wounded and patients from the Al Ahli Arab Hospital in Gaza City. Okay, so people that are, everybody's talking about the hospitals and this and that, so they can actually get to safety. I don't know. What do you guys think? So it's good to see that 13 of the Israeli hostages and then 12, bonus hostages, I guess is what they're unplanned. Sorry, I laugh. Unplanned hostages that were in addition to the 13 that were negotiated for were released. Before the release of the 25 hostages, Israel earlier Friday released information on how the hostage handover would be handled. Here is how a media advisor for the Israeli Prime Minister's office said it would happen. First, Hamas will hand the hostages to Red Cross officials in Gaza, who will then deliver them to Israeli military. The hostages will receive an initial medical screening and eventual first aid from doctors, a step that will be monitored by mental health officials, as many hostages lost relatives in the Hamas attack, and it isn't known what they know. So they don't even know possibly who else got, killed in this thing. So I assume it's probably a part of their treatment to let them know that they're all alone and make it seem, whatever, as miserable as you can for them. I don't know. Hostages will be flown to hospitals and medical centers in Israel, where they will be met by family members with mental health professionals present, adults who are able to be debriefed, and then hostages who are well enough will be allowed to leave the medical facilities. Okay, so, hopefully that's all of them. Who knows how they've been being treated. I assume not the best, right? Just leave it at that. And then the hostages' identities are being verified by Israelis. Okay, so we'll find out who these hostages actually are. Hopefully they started with the women and children, but I guess we'll just find out in the future. The 25 hostages released by Hamas are inside the Rafah border crossing, and their identities are being verified by Israel's secret agency. Egyptian officials said it is unclear how long that part of the process could take. Okay, so here's some information. Among the 25 released by Hamas on Friday were 12 Thais, according to the Thai Prime Minister, a surprise last-minute addition to those freedom who wasn't part of the border agreement. The release of the Thais was a result of efforts by Qatar in Egypt after the Thai foreign minister visited Doha seeking mediators' help, a person familiar with the talks said. Okay, so I guess that's all they're going to leave it at that. And then the Thai's Prime Minister said on X that their release took place Friday. Embassy officials are on their way to pick them up in another hour. And like I believe it said in the beginning, the exchange has already been done, so there'll definitely be more to come soon. Hamas handed over the hostages to the International Committee of the Red Cross in Gaza, which will deliver them to the Rafah border crossing with Egypt, where the Israeli military will identify them and provide an initial medical examination. The exchange, which keeps a fragile ceasefire on track, was the result of weeks of negotiations for an agreement between Israel and Hamas that was brokered by Qatar and Egypt with the help of the U.S. I don't think the U.S. had as much leverage. Maybe not. I don't know. The eventual return of the hostages to Israel will bring relief to their families who have waited nearly 7 weeks to bring them home. Once the hostages arrive in Israel, Israeli authorities are set to release a group of Palestinian prisoners made up of women and teenage boys. I'm glad these folks are being released. It's a crazy scenario that's going on over there, and I look forward to the next hostage exchange or release of prisoners, or however they want to word it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.